It's Tim K5OHY. I'm planning a POTA Rove this week, and I just kind of want to go over the process that I use and some of the helpful websites that really make it a lot easier to plan a trip like this. Um, First of all, I just looked at the POTA website and pulled up a map and kind of laid out my path I wanted to go and pick some parks along the way. Um, This Rove is mainly to help a friend in Hungary, Eli, HA9RE, get his three remaining counties for his U.S. County Hunter Award. He's been working at this a number of years, and we've become pretty good friends over the last year. He contacted me, I think it was last February, and he needed a county close to me, Mitchell County. And I guess he emails a lot of people trying to get counties, and it just so happened that there's a state park in Mitchell County. I was just getting into POTA, and I told him no problem. I went over there and camped out for the night. Just had a wonderful activation, made a lot of contacts, and really got hooked on POTA on that trip, I think. Um, so in October, I did another trip for him. I did a rove up to the Panhandle to get Castro County, and that was a great trip. I think I did 10 activations in 2 days, and the upper bands were just great. Uh, I made a lot of DX contacts just with a ham stick thrown on the truck. So, we've been emailing, and he needs three counties, and they're all in South Texas. And I kind of looked at the map and thought, hey, there's some parks around there. It'd be kind of neat to head back there. And I know the area a little bit. I used to fish a little bit there with my brother many years ago. So I've got just a Google document here that I kind of list all the parks I'm going to, and I have links to uh, Google Maps for each day. The limitation with Google Maps is I think you can only put like 6 or 8 destinations. So if you try to go to too many stops, it won't let you. That's why I've broken it up into days. And I've listed the park numbers, and I've also listed the worldwide flora and fauna numbers on there. Um, I find that if you spot yourself to worldwide flora and fauna, you'll get more DX usually. And you'll see I have a couple of the parks I have, um, like this first one, Fort Lancaster, I have 33 CW QSOs. I looked it up and there's only been 33 CW QSOs at that park. Um, and then Redhead Pond only has two. So those might be pretty nice for some of the CW hunters getting new parks. So day one is going to be a fairly long day, about 480 miles. I'm going to hit Fort Lancaster, South Atlanta River, San Antonio Missions, and there's a trail that goes through that one, so that's a twofer. Then I'll end up camping out at Lake Colorado City, or excuse me, Lake Corpus Christi. Um, and day two is mainly to get Eli two counties. So I'm going to get up at 0 dark 30 and leave out of Lake Corpus Christi and head down to um, South Brooks County. And so you can see right here, there's no park there. I'm just going to pull over, trying to find a spot to set up an antenna and hopefully contact him there. And then his last county is actually, I think it's Willacy County, which is, there's a park there. And then I'll be heading to Red House, or excuse me, Redhead Pond Wildlife Management Area. And that's a park with only two CW contacts, so that might be kind of fun. And if I have time, I'm going to head north and try to get to Mustang Island, and then I'll enter Padre Island National Seashore. And I've been to Padre Island National Seashore, some great shark fishing there. It's interesting park. It's 66 miles of undeveloped barrier island. I believe that's the largest barrier island that's undeveloped in the world. And it's also they have a turtle rescue there that they basically brought the Scott Ridley sea turtle back from almost extinction. They started releasing hatchlings there many years ago, and so it's kind of neat during certain times of the year when they're nesting. They have turtle patrols out there. So as you're driving down the beach, they'll stop you and let the turtles come in. And every year they'll release the hatchlings. And I think it took many years for them to start coming back. But now it's the largest area for those turtles in the world. So that's kind of a neat thing about that park. And then the third day, I'll just be headed back to West Texas. I'm going to hit a couple parks along the way. Um, and then I'll camp out at San Angelo State Park, which is not too far from me, and then just head home on Friday morning. Um, the reason I made this video is because there's a couple of websites that make planning this a lot easier. And I think the most valuable website that I've found for POTA is potamap.us. It's made by another CW POTA guy. Um, let's see here. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Trying to remember his call sign. N9FZ Canaan. And this website is wonderful if you're going to try to activate a park that doesn't have well-defined boundaries, such as national forest or wildlife management areas. So one of the counties, Willacy County, I believe is the name of it, that Eli needs, there's actually a park there, but if you go to the POTA website, they'll just have their little pin somewhere. But the parks often stretch hundreds of miles and have different tracts of land. Um, so the Lower Rio Grande Valley, see, I think that's the name of it, Lower Rio Grande Valley National Wildlife Refuge is it has all these little tracts of land along the Rio Grande, but it's also got this area up here in the county that Eli needs. And so without this website, it's very hard. The same thing with National Forest. You have to go to the National Forest website, and it's not the most user-friendly website. So what Kanan did is basically put all the area of the park, and you can kind of highlight it and see where the boundaries are. So extremely helpful for this. And I'll give an example. The last rove I did, I was trying to activate Yoakum Dunes, which hasn't been activated very many times. And Google Maps just took me into the middle of a oil lease right next to this farm. And I had a picture pulled up, but I think I lost it. I think it's a title picture. I was parked next to a pump jack. And I drove around in circles trying to find this park. And I think I just heard about his website when this happened. So I pulled it up and was able to see that I wasn't too far away. And so if you pull up Yoakum Dunes right here. I think it's this one right here. This is where the POTA and Google Maps have it, but the dunes are actually a little bit south of where that spot is. So it was really helpful trying to find that, especially, you're in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes it's good to kind of know where you're going before you head out because, sometimes there's no service in these remote areas. So this website's really great. Um, the second night of camping, I'm going to be camping on the beach on Padre Island. And if you can see on the map here, I'm actually going to have to drive about 22 miles down the beach to get into Kennedy County for Eli. The other great thing about this website is it actually has the county lines. So you can see here's where the line is. And you can also pull this website up on your phone and it'll give you a GPS dot on the map. And so you can see clearly if you're in the park bounds and which county you're in. So that's extremely helpful. The next website it's actually really interesting. Um, this website is maps.pota.ninja. and it shows you all the POTA sites, and it shows you if all these ones in gray have been activated, and the ones in yellow are all-time new parks, have never been activated. You can see all the ones in Mexico have not been activated. Unfortunately, we don't have a reciprocal agreement with Mexico. But the neat thing about this website is if I put my call sign and hit load, I'm going to get rid of all the parks and it's just going to show my activity. It shows you which parks you've hunted, which parks you've activated, and then the blue are parks that you've hunted and activated. So you can see around me, I've activated most of the parks that are around me. Um, and then you can see all the green dots are parks that I've hunted, which is really kind of neat to see on a map. Um, you know, I've been doing POTA about a year, and it's kind of crazy to see how many parks that I've contacted over the year. This website, I mean, there's so many parks, so it takes a little while to load the data, but it's a neat website. Um, I can show you. So if we go over to Utah, let me zoom out a little bit so I can find it, and you can put my buddy's call sign, Forest KI7QCF. I don't know why I did that to that. Load. And then what we'll do is we'll zoom in here and it should show you all the parks that he's activated, which, I'm jealous of Utah because there's a ton of parks in Utah. In fact, I think there's a lot of parks that haven't been activated yet. Um, and those may be kind of hard to get to. That's why they haven't been activated. But you can actually scroll over to Hawaii, and Force was there recently, and you can actually see the parks that he activated there as well. So that's a extremely helpful website. The next website is not really a website. It's this isn't really for planning a road, but it's one that I use a lot at home for hunting. Is just the PotaPlus extension. It's a really great extension that runs in Chrome. You can also install it on Android. I've got it installed on my Android tablet using Kiwi browser. It was kind of a hassle to install on the tablet, but it does work. Um, and so you can click on a call sign, and it'll pull up that activator. Let's pull up Jim here, and it'll show you his stats. Um, how many activations and QSOs. It'll show you where he is on the map. It'll show you where you need to beam your antenna to and the distance, and it'll even give you a Google Street View of his park, and then it'll also show you all the spots, the recent spots. If you click right here, it'll pull up his RBN, so you can click right here, and it'll pull up, his RBN of which looks like 15 meters is looking good. Beacons he's hitting. So if you can't hear him, you can pull this up and say, hey, where's the signal going to, how strong it is. Um, and then if you hit QSL, it'll actually let you spot them. And then I have it set up to where it automatically logs on QRZ, which is pretty neat. It puts the park number. So I don't know if this extension is still being developed and updated. I hope it is because I really enjoy using this for hunting. Um, Sometimes I'll just, if I'm mobile or in the truck, I'll use Ham 2K Polo to hunt, which also works quite well. The problem with hunting mobile is if you don't use the same thing and you're not spotting them, sometimes you lose track of who you've hunted and accidentally give them a dupe, which is fine, but it's not ideal. Um, a couple websites I use for propagation. Um, HFD, excuse me, hf.dxview.org. This is a website that uses, I think it uses real-time whisper data. And so it kind of shows you can put your grid square and it'll show you theoretically based on the whisper data where you can um, contact, and it'll even give you different layers for different modes. So as you can see, CW obviously a lot bigger than single sideband. Um, and then you can put all the bands on there overlaying, or you can click individual bands to see how individual bands are doing. So this is a handy website. It's not, none of the propagation websites are 100% accurate. They give you an idea of propagation, but I don't know. The more I read about propagation, the more I get confused sometimes. So um, the vocab is something I just found, and I trying to figure out propagation between Eli and I. He's like I said, in Hungary. And so this website, I believe it's also a desktop application. Um, it's, I guess it has a model for propagation. You can put, let's see, let's put the day. So let's say um, Thursday morning, I'm going to try to contact him from Kennedy County on the coast. And so I've got the grid squares put up there, and you can also, pick the mode, how many watts. And here's where it gets really interesting. You can set up the antennas. So for POTA, I've actually got a 3 element Yagi for 10 meters that is my best antenna with the most gain. However, the problem is Eli's 10-meter antenna is not acting right now. He's got a high SWR. Um, so we're gonna, in the past I've always contacted them on 20 meters, and some of them have been very marginal, but we've made it happen. Um, but the other day he contacted me at the Bush House on 10 meters, and he said he was just using 20 watts because of his high SWR, and he was booming it at a 579, and we were able to have a nice QSO. So with all this stuff put in, for 20 meters, I'm just going to use a POTA Performer, which is a quarter wave. And I put good ground plane. And so if you pull up this chart, this will give you a prediction on the propagation between the two spots. And it'll give you the time. So you can see on 20 meters, our best shot is between 12 and 1300 UTC. And there's an approximately 56% chance. And then 10 meters is looking a lot better. Around 1500, there's a 91% chance. And you also have this propagation wheel here, which lists the bands, and then it kind of shows you visually the best shot of propagation. So I might start using this more if I'm trying to have QSOs with friends across the country to pick the correct band um, and time of day. So that's really there's a lot more to this. You can really delve in here. There's a lot of stuff down here at the bottom that I haven't really messed with. Um, And of course, there's many websites for propagation. I've got an app on my phone that'll give me a few of the, uh, information about propagation and current conditions with their solar flares or CMEs, and NASA Space Weather's another one. So just a quick video to kind of show you how I'm planning this Rove, and some of the websites that are I find really helpful. And I think potamap.us is one of the best. Let me show you really quickly if I can zoom out here. Um, I'll pull up, I go to New Mexico quite a bit, and they've got national forests there, and it's actually very hard to know exactly where the national forests are. As you can see, they're kind of spread out. So, like the Carson National Forest, I've activated a number of times, and you can see that there's little spots kind of all over the place. Um, and you can go on the National Forest website, but it's quite hard to figure out exactly where um, it starts and stops. And this website just makes it really nice. In fact, I did a twofer in the intersection of one of the trails in the Carson National Forest at one point. So that was kind of nice. That's about all I have. So hopefully, I'll hear some of you on the radio this week, and if not, 73.